Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Third Impact Anime Podcast. I'm Ryan. I'll be hosting this episode. And, so Third Impact had a very busy Memorial Day weekend. We went to not just one, but two conventions. A bunch of us went to Animazement up at our local RaleighCon. And there were a bunch of us that also went to Momocon in Atlanta, Georgia. And we're going to talk about that one today. So with me, besides myself, obviously, I have with me Edwin.
Hey. What's up, people?
And who else do I have? I have Sarah.
Hello.
And I have the man, the myth, the legend. Everybody give a warm first-time podcast welcome to Will.
It's me. I'm Will.
He is a real person. He is a very real person. So, thank you for joining us today, Will.
Thank you.
So, we've mentioned you probably about a dozen times on the podcast over various con stories. So, like Edwin, you may have been like a mythological figure for a while. But, tell everybody about yourself.
Sure. Well, I'm Will. Some people may know me from Midshelf Gaming, the gaming channel that Ryan and Edwin and myself run.
I think it's the best channel on YouTube, by the way.
Possibly. Definitely a big fan of the Third Impact crowd, so I'm very honored to be here to talk about our experiences at Momo. So thank you for having me.
All right. And just so everybody can get to know you and the degenerate that you are, what's one of your favorite animes?
Steins Gate.
Yeah.
I think every time I've been mentioned on the podcast in passing, it's been me talking about Steins Gate or someone mentioning Steins Gate and then mentioning me.
That's a very real possibility.
That's very me, on brand.
Yeah. All right. And I also have Edwin with me.
Hey.
What you been up to, Edwin?
Going to conventions.
Yeah, pretty much. You watching anything new?
Carol on Tuesday.
Okay. How's that?
Ooh.
I want to keep it a secret. It'll be on Netflix within a couple months.
But it's good.
It's amazing.
Worth a watch.
It's Watanabe. Of course it is.
Yeah, Watanabe is always worth a watch. I'm sure it's no secret that most of us love Watanabe. So.
He's
what
my
about
dad.
Yeah.
He's my second dad alongside Kojima.
Yeah. I would love to see a sitcom made about Kojima and Watanabe doing just like dad things together. Like maybe adopting like a baby girl or something.
I want to be that baby girl.
Kojima would just walk around with her in like a giant vat of like liquid.
Oh, you're just describing Death Stranding.
Pretty much.
We predicted Death
That's my only experience with Kojima and babies, because other than that, I don't think he's really done too many things with kids. Unless you count Metal Gear Solid 5. But what about games? Are you playing anything?
I'm playing Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
Okay.
Now this is pod racing.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, we just recently did an episode on Star Wars games, and Edwin rediscovered his love for Episode 1 Racer, so that's why he's probably replaying that.
No, I just love young Anakin.
Nobody loves
Yippee!
young Anakin. Stop lying.
Yippee!
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. What about you, Sarah? What have you been up to?
I mean, outside of Momocon, I'm trying to find a new place to move, and then,
Oh, that's always fun.
The struggle is real.
oh yeah, oh, it's a big struggle, but it's fine, because, things work out eventually, always. But yeah, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba has been the main anime this season that I've been really liking. Trying to keep up with Dororo also lately.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Yeah, Demon Slayer's on my list. I haven't actually gotten a chance to get around to watching it yet, though, because I've been very busy with con prep and everything, and I haven't really gotten out of that yet.
That's fair. It's definitely a total treat. It's so good.
Yeah. Well, I'm down for anything that Yuki Kaidra and Ufotable do, so it's definitely going to be up my alley. I just actually find the time to sit down and watch it. But, yeah. Anything else going on? Any games you're playing or anything? Anything worth mentioning?
Well, one mobile game that I was playing got completely revamped and is like such a better game now. It's B Project. It used to be B Project Muteki Dangerous, and it got revamped into being Kaikan Everyday. And they're celebrating the second anniversary right now.
All right.
Um,
I remember I used to play the Kingdom Hearts mobile game, like, I was addicted to it, like, literally addicted to it. I had to stop because I dropped $50 on polls and got
my
nothing.
God.
Yeah, I had a problem.
Ooh.
But I realized I had a problem before it got too bad. So, like, yeah, I used to have to play it on campus Wi-Fi. So whenever I was doing that, it would just, every, like, time I tried to load a screen, it'd be like, disconnected. Try to reconnect again. I'd be like, please just stop.
Yikes.
Oh god.
Yeah.
I've been
But-
always inching towards playing the Fate mobile game. I'm
Don't.
always so close. I know.
Oh my God,
but I
no.
always almost do it.
As
Join
much as
the
I
dark side.
as much as I like say don't play gacha games because they'll suck out your soul, the Fate one I've heard is literally worse than any other like gacha game out there. Like it will.
Grand Order hurts me so bad.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Grand Order
my
is a
God.
money sink. It's such a bad game.
One
My
day.
luck in that game is so bad.
Yeah. I've heard you have to like pay a ton of money if you want to get like any good pulls because the percentages are just so low.
Yeah, you gotta save. You gotta save.
Oh yeah. Free to play is basically impossible in a gacha game if you want to rank, so that's the curse of them. But
I just need.
I kind of skipped over Will because of his introduction, but what have you been up to, Will? Like what are you watching, playing or whatever?
Yeah, so mostly because of con season, I haven't really been watching too much. Like the normie I am, I'm watching One Punch Man season 2
Of course.
and Attack on Titan still. Just
What
because
a normie.
I know. I was like, well, I might as well just have something on in the background. But I've really been meaning to watch Demon Slayer, so I'm glad to hear rather that that's good. So that's
Yeah,
been on my
same.
list as well. In terms of playing things, not honestly, again, because of con stuff, not too much. I mostly just played Tetris 99 the whole car ride to Atlanta. I brought
You also
my
played
Switch
Smash.
we did play Smash. Edwin and I did play Smash with the two Joy-Cons sideways, so that was enjoyable because during the car
Miserable.
ride, the screen we just had between us, and then anytime anyone made a turn, it would just like fall over. We'd have to pause and like re-pick it back up.
Quick story about that. Like I had a box of Lucio O's because I had Johnny Cruz sign them at the con, and they had my cereal box propped up against the middle rest with the Switch leaning on top of that. It was like the weirdest rig I've ever seen, but I'm just like, okay, weird flex, but whatever, that works. And then anytime we had to make a turn, I would hear and it would fall on the ground and they'd be like, shit, pause.
Oh god.
Yeah. But it was funny. But yeah. Myself, like I said, I haven't really been watching too much except for Attack on Titan as well and One Punch. But I've been watching more American shows than anime lately just because they're easy for me to put on in the background and I don't have to read.
Baka Gaijin.
But I actually started watching Banana Fish when I got back from the con, like the Monday after I had off from work, so I just started binging that. And that's a really good show. Like it's about American gangsters basically. And it's just significantly better than I thought it was going to be because the name kind of makes it sound like it's going to be like an animal anime. And then I was just like, oh, this is literally the opposite of that.
Like Bananyan.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. There's so many weird, like, short animal animes. Like, I didn't know what to expect. And then
There's
I
no
fell into
bananas
that, and I was
or
just like,
fish
wow,
in
this is
here.
really
What's
good.
up?
No, the banana fish is a drug. Spoiler alert. But,
They sold me short on it.
yeah, I mean, it's a great start. I'm like 8 episodes in, more or less. And I've also been watching Dororo, and it's so good. It's my favorite anime from like this year so far. But other than that, Hollow Knight finally got a physical release on Friday, so I've been playing
Yes.
that, and I bought Katana Zero. So games, it's a good time for games for me at least. I've been just playing a ton of stuff. But yeah, other than that, we took a ton of our time to make the pilgrimage down to Atlanta, Georgia for Momocon.
To the Mecca.
Yeah, we went to effectively. I don't know. I feel like Mecca for nerds would be more so like Comic-Con or something. If it weren't like LineCon, but something like that. Momo was great though, not saying that it wasn't, but I don't think it's on the scale of like Mecca for like anything like that.
Not yet, at least.
Not
Until
yet,
Next year.
but-
Yeah, I think there's slightly different attendance numbers there, just a little.
Yeah. But no, so Momocon actually started as a con on Georgia Tech's campus, which is really close to downtown Atlanta. And as the con grew, and I assume the people graduated from Georgia Tech, they moved it into the convention center nearby, and it was huge. Like, we immediately walked in, we were just like, okay, this is overwhelming. Everything is huge. And we all stayed in the Omni. I don't know about you, actually, Sarah. Did you stay in the Omni too?
No, my friends that I was with found like a cheaper hotel that was a little bit further of a walk, but not too bad.
Gotcha.
I know a few of my other friends that were also from out of state. They also went a little further to get cheaper hotels because by the time they decided they wanted to go, all the main hotels were sold out.
Yeah, I remember. I think I booked our hotel back in like August because we had all decided after Animazement last year, we're like, we need a change of pace. Let's go to Momo next year because we had heard so many great things about the guests. But by that time last year, we were already committed to Animazement. So we were like, yeah, we'll go next year. And I'm glad we did, honestly. But yeah, it was a very big con. Like, you start on the 4th floor and then you go down 1 floor, which is where all the panel rooms are. And then you go down another floor into the dealer's hall in the gaming area. And that was just like the biggest haul I've ever seen for that type of stuff. Like, I'd never, with the amount of space we had, you would have never known that there were like 30,000 people there. It was absolutely crazy.
I didn't even realize that the main panel room was down there.
Yeah, no, that was actually kind of weird in my opinion. The main panel room was tucked all the way in the back, behind, like, past the game room, past like the speedrunner, the main stage and everything. Yeah. But like, I thought, like, I went there for an Overwatch panel and I thought it was going to be loud, but it actually was great. It was
I was just pleasantly surprised at how quiet it actually was back there. I was like, I have to go past the arcades to hear at this panel. But it was actually surprisingly like pretty good sound wise down there. I was surprised.
Yeah, because I'm so used to small cons where like there's like a fair amount of attendance and not a whole lot of space, and then everybody's like bumping shoulders every 12 seconds, and like, you know, you can hear kids screaming and everything. But it was nothing like that for this, at least not for me. I thought it was great. But the con scene was like significantly different from like anything I've ever really been to before, because it was like almost 100 degrees the entire weekend, and there were at least like 300 people outside on like the little, what do you call it, the courtyard area, just kind of chilling, doing cosplay stuff, playing music, drawing chalk art, pretty much the entire weekend. And that was incredible to me. And I personally never had a single rude interaction with anybody. Like, there's always one person at least in the con who thinks that they're better than everybody else and like shove through, try to like push their way through to the dealer's room. But no, everybody was super nice. Like, I really had a great time with everybody I interacted with. I would strike up random conversations with
strangers,
just like strangers, like in an autograph line or something, and it was great. It was very enjoyable. But what about the rest of y'all? Did y'all have similar feelings?
Yeah, I think everyone was like super nice. I didn't have any like negative experience or anything. I had a very similar experience just waiting in line when we were going to see Suda 51, and Edwin like found me and like joined me in line. We were just all talking about his games, like the people behind us, the people in front of us. It was great while we were just waiting in line. That happened like multiple times throughout the con.
Absolutely.
So I usually am not someone to kind of like pick conversation with a random stranger all the time, but of course con atmosphere sometimes brings that about, and especially here it just felt very welcoming.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, it was literally like everyone was so friendly. I haven't been to a con in a couple of years, so I was like, oh, what do I expect? It's like,
it's a good one to come back to.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It was great. Like literally on Thursday, I was just wearing like a Hunter x Hunter t-shirt, and people were just like, oh my gosh, I love your shirt, and like trying to like talk to me about it. And I was like, what's happening? People are being friendly to me? They don't have places to be right now? Like,
yeah, that was just the great thing. Like, everybody was so nice.
Mm-hmm.
And like, even Thursday, like, I'm so used to like going to Animazement like for a 4-day con that like Thursday is normally only badge pickup day, and you like maybe go to one or two panels, but they're usually not anything like great. But this Thursday honestly felt like a Saturday to me, so I was very happy about that.
For me, just this con, I felt it was very overwhelming when I first walked in. So what I decided to do was devote most of my Thursday try to understand and familiarize myself with the layout and try to figure out where everything was. But even then, it took me at least by the end of Friday evening to be more or less acquainted with everything. It was just so big and like everyone else had mentioned, everyone was so friendly. It was a very welcoming environment.
Yeah. And like so well organized and just like laid out in such a logical way that it was just really easy to get around and figure stuff out.
Oh my god, when you mentioned about how it was well organized, for the pre-reg line, we were in it, Will and I were in it for like 15 minutes and we were already getting our badges.
Same.
Yeah, that was crazy to me.
Yeah. I got in like Thursday afternoon basically because I flew down that day. And so the line was like super long and I was like, ooh, I'm going to be here a while. And then 20 minutes later I had my badge and I was like, oh, okay, well, or not.
Yeah, that was the crazy thing is like Marissa and I were waiting in line for our will call badges, and Edwin and Will were at the back of like the very back of a pretty long line, and I was like, we'll just find you once we get our badges and we'll figure it out. So this one guy was like making a fuss at will call about something or other. So we get our badges, I call Edwin and I'm just like, hey, where are you guys at? And he's like, oh, we're pretty much at the front of the line. I was like, what? It took you like 15 minutes to get to the front of the line. It took us 15 minutes to go through one person at will call. So it was kind of funny, but like it worked out. But that was like, yeah, it was strange. I've never had like a registration line actually be that efficient.
I mean, they have to optimize themselves because of how many people come on Thursday. You don't usually see a lot of people come on Thursdays because there usually isn't anything to do. But at Momo, they had so many events already planned out.
Yeah, two of our 3 panels were on Thursday, which I was kind of dreading, but it actually turned out pretty okay, like even given that it was a Thursday crowd. Like Marissa and I did Batman in Japan at 4:00, which was the very first time slot that was available for panels. So when I saw that, I was like, oh my god, nobody's going to show up for this. It's going to be a bust. It's not going to be worth doing, like, whatever. And I was kind of annoyed, but I was like, whatever, let's go do our panel. And we actually had, like, half the room filled, which was...
I counted about 60 people.
Yeah. And even about that, like, the panel rooms were, like, even the small rooms were bigger than, like, the biggest rooms at Ichiban Con, which was ridiculous. So I really liked that. It gave us like a lot of space, and the crowd was really great. They were really receptive to what we had to say. We had people ask questions. It was a great time. Like, it actually turned out really well. And then we did Collecting 101 at 11:30 at night. Again, another great time slot for something like that. I again did not expect a big crowd, and we had like 15 people, which this isn't a panel that has like a massive turnout every time anyways, but it actually did a lot better than I thought, and we had a lot of fun doing it this time.
It was way past my bedtime.
Yeah, it was. I think we stayed up until like 3:00 that night anyways.
I stayed up till 3 a.m. every night.
Yeah, pretty much. It was a great time.
Great con.
But yeah, Thursday was a very busy day for us, believe it or not, and like looking back now, I'm kind of glad, because then Friday, Saturday, I got to do everything else I wanted to do, not having to worry, do I have time for this? Is my panel gonna, like, run into this? It was like, panels are done. Like, go do everything else. So, yeah, and other than that, Marissa had Token Rambu Behind the Blade the following morning at, like, 10:30, and that one actually did very well. She had about 20 people in there, and you could tell a lot of people were hungover, which I thought was very funny. But It was a good panel, had a good turnout. Like all of our panels did very well for considering when they were, because they weren't at the best time slots, but they still did very well, and I was happy about it, and it got us in for free, so can't really knock that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But yeah, Edwin and Will helped me with the Collecting 101 panel as well. But since you didn't panel at this one, what kind of stuff did you do around the con, Sarah?
There were a lot of like cosplay panels that were really cool, especially on Thursday. And then, oh my gosh, I did so much random stuff. There was a lot of idol things that were happening. There was like an entire festival of a bunch of like idol cover groups from Florida that happened on Friday.
Oh, that one was fun.
Yeah, and like a whole like mini concert by Peachy Parade that were like actual, I think they were technically guests at the con, I don't know, but they're also guesting at AWA this year.
I believe they were guested.
Yeah. They were great. I also went to that Overwatch voice actor panel. It was really well done.
Which one did you go to? Did you go to the one where there was a proposal in the middle of it, or did you go to the one that was like earlier in the con?
I went to the Friday one.
Okay, I think the one I went to was on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I missed a proposal. Oh.
God, you didn't miss much. It was very awkward and very cringy. She
Oh,
said
no.
yes, and everybody was like happy, but it went on for too long, and we were just like, dude, don't hijack a panel to propose. That's uncomfortable.
That's at every con, though.
I know.
Well, I do know that on Friday during the Q&A, there was one guy who was just like, I'm Michael Chu now. And then the voice actors were just like, well, Michael Chu, like how to start a question awkwardly. But
Yikes.
What does that even mean?
well, because he went from there into like a hypothetical scenario. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like, I'm Michael Chu now. Pitch something to me. Like, but that's not how he just walked up to the mic and said it that way. And I'm
awkward.
like, that's so awkward. But yeah. Went to an Axis Games panel. Axis Games was really good. All the Otome games.
I really wanted to go to that panel, but it was at the same time as Suda 51, and there was no way that I was going to miss that panel.
His panel or his signing?
His panel.
Oh yeah, tell us about that one actually, because I heard that one was really fun. I was busy doing something else.
Oh, the Suda one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So his newest game was released recently, Travis Strikes Back, which is part of the No More Hero series. And what he was doing was he was highlighting a lot of the mini games that were in Travis Strikes Back. Therefore, he was looking back at earlier works and how a lot of his earlier works influenced a lot of the mini games for that game.
Yeah, it was a really enjoyable panel. I'm not a huge Suda fan. Now, preface, I haven't played any of his games, but of course I had to take the opportunity to actually see like a Japanese video game developer in person talk about his games. So even as someone who didn't even know anything about his games, it was a very fun experience. He seems very genuine as well. Like he's really passionate about the stuff he's talking about. And it was just like a really good time. Like I was getting hyped for everyone because part of the panel was because he was going to make an announcement.
Right.
And spoiler alert, the announcement was the game that he was talking about?
Yeah,
Travis
Strikes Back got a port on PS4 and PC.
Right. So a lot of people were like, "Oh, Travis and Smash." So I was like, "I'm going to be at this panel anyway to see what the announcement is." And even though the announcement was not Travis and Smash,
there was no way he was gonna sweep the rug from Nintendo and announce Travis and Smash.
Listen, he addressed the Travis and Smash dilemma. He told the fans to go bug Nintendo like we bug Waluigi and Smash.
Yeah,
he did say that.
Yeah. Did he speak much English? Because when I met him, he had a translator and didn't really understand too much of what I said.
He knew a handful of words.
Okay. But did he speak English or did he speak Japanese and had a translator?
Mostly Japanese.
Translator. Okay. Yeah, that was a panel I wanted to see, but I can't remember what I was doing. Again, there was way too much to do. Like we did so much.
For real.
Yeah.
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 That's the way I describe this con. is that there was so much to do. I decided to do a little bit of everything, but never fully committed into one thing or another.
Yeah, I kind of did that. Like, for me, Friday was my autograph day. I got a lot of things signed. Like, I met all the Overwatch voice actors. I got Genji to sign a 3D print of Genji and his Chinese New Year skin, and that was really cool. And I got Johnny Cruz, who's the voice of Lucio, to sign my cereal box of Lucio O's. And I talked to him for a little while and just like told him my experience with the game. And like Lucio was my main, so it was really cool to speak to him. And they were just super fun people to talk to. Oh, also I met Donald Duck. So
how did that go?
That was fun. He signed my copy of Kingdom Hearts 1, and I asked him about the ingredients line, and he had the greatest response to it. He looked at me and he goes, you're like the 10th person today to ask me about that. Can you enlighten me? Like, why do people care about that line? And so I was like, well, in Kingdom Hearts, there was like a system where you could collect ingredients, and anytime you got near them, we would hear Donald or Goofy say, this looks like a good spot to find some ingredients. So I heard your voice say that line no less than like 30,000 times. And he was like, I probably recorded that line like 2-3 years ago, and I probably did it like once. So it's insignificant to me. But like, then I like started looking up memes about the freaking ingredients line with Tony Anselmo, the voice of Donald Duck. So I thought that was kind of awesome, and that was like a really fun interaction. He was just like, man, the internet's weird. I don't get this. And I was like, I don't expect you to.
It's better to keep Donald pure.
There was one autograph that I got at this con, and it was that I got my copy of Bastion on the Vita, signed by a couple of the guys who work at Supergiant Games. So, of course, the devs of like Bastion, Transistor, and their newest game, Pyre, that I haven't played yet. But I was really excited to meet those guys because I'm a really big fan of Bastion, and they were like super chill. So I got my copy of my Vita copy signed, and it's very nicely sitting on my shelf.
Yeah, I wish I had a physical copy of Bastion because I would have done the same. But I love that game; it's so good.
Speaking about indie developers, another one that was there was Inti Creates, which was really cool. They developed the Mega Man Zero games, and I believe their most recent game is. If not a Zero Striker Gunvolt, then I think it's Blaster Master Zero. So it's really cool to see a lot of indie developers at Momocon.
Yeah, they had in the dealer's room. Let me go over the dealer's room real quick. Actually, I guess we can transition to that at this point because it was massive. Mm-hmm. You walk in, so you go down the escalator, and if you went to the right, you went into the game room and like one of the autograph areas, and there was like a stage and everything like with all the games. Then you go to the left. And you immediately hit a wall of dealer booths. And not only were there dealer booths, there were like some guest booths. And there was an entire section dedicated to indie game developers. Like they had setups there where you could demo their game. And there were a lot. Like there were at least like, 10 games there probably?
They had a decent amount.
Yeah, they had a really decent amount. And they also had like VR setups in the middle of the dealer's room, which I thought was funny. Because some of the developers were VR developers, but people waiting in line for VR was really funny. I'm just like, just do it somewhere else. Like, don't waste your time at a con playing VR. But to each your own. Do what you want. And
Ryan,
yeah, what?
You're forgetting one big thing about the dealer's room. Is the first thing that you're greeted with when you walk in.
Oh my God.
Is the huge Bakugan arena.
Yeah,
I was about to get to that.
Yeah. I was floored when I saw the dealer's room, and then I saw that, and I was like, "Oh my lord!"
I was about to get to that. I don't know. There. I did not know
it was that big of a deal. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew about Bakugan like way back in the day.
Do you
but
know
like
how to Baku battle?
Not anymore. But like I didn't even know it was still a thing, or that like people actually cared about it. And then it literally had like an arena where you could go in and play Bakugan, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
It was massive, and I don't know why it was there, but apparently it was popular enough, so I think I think I need to look into Bakugan again and just like find out why there's such a resurgence for it.
Ugh, do you though? Do you?
Oh, I don't need to get back into it. I'm just curious.
Literally, people in like cages playing this game. Like,
Yeah.
there was like 5 or 6 setups in there, and like they had like cages around them, like they're in like a little arena,
Are
literally
you trying to
battling.
describe it as if it were an MMA fight?
I mean,
Basically,
it was.
it
Did you
basically
see
looked
those
like it.
people? They were intense.
They were tearing each other up.
I know. It was a carpeted area too. It was like, this is lush for like a random arena in the middle of a convention.
I believe it was like some kind of national qualifier tournament.
Oh, okay.
That
would make
explains
sense.
it.
I didn't actually go up and ask them. I was just kind of amazed, like, wow, I
I'm
did
just
not know
assuming.
Bakugan was a thing. I mean, it's possible. But, yeah, so, like, besides that, there was, like, the usual dealers. There were a ton of dealers. And then over towards the other half of the hall were the artists and the car people. Like, they're the people who bring, like, a really nice car that's styled like... They had a DeLorean, they had...
The Jurassic Park Jeep.
Yeah, the Jurassic Park Jeep. I don't think they had a mystery machine here. I have seen one of those before, though.
They had the Ecto one.
Yeah, they had the Ecto 1, thank you. And,
Fallout van.
Yeah, the Fallout van. And, like, they were, like, some people selling things out of them, like, just random, swag. And it was fun. Like, I love seeing that stuff. But one really funny thing is there were sculptures from How to Train Your Dragon 3 of Toothless and the Light Fury. I don't remember if she actually had a name. But you could get a picture of you riding it for like $20, which that's expensive.
Yeah.
But also it helps pay for the sculpture, I'm sure. So there was just random cool stuff like that. And all the artists were really nice. I actually got to meet a comic writer I'm fond of, Donny Cates. He writes for Marvel right now. He's writing Venom and Guardians of the Galaxy. So I had him sign a couple of my issues, and I was just like, so how long are you going to be writing for? And he's like, you got me for about another year. So I was like, all right, I can live with that. And
I think we should also bring up the variety that was in the game dealer's room.
Yeah, why don't you talk about that?
I pretty much found everything I needed. I saw game dealers, figurines, like key strap, everything that I would want. Like, I've never gone to a convention that had this good of a selection.
Yeah, there was a good variety.
Mm-hmm.
Either of you two have any thoughts on the dealers, like what you saw?
Yeah, I definitely agree with the big variety. There was like a lot more clothing vendors than I expected, because I was also there kind of looking for like any sort of shirt. I was like, oh, maybe. But there were like a bunch of vendors selling clothes, and like there was like the leather people selling like all those really nice leather books and like coats and everything. I really wanted one of those, but I think I blew all my money before I found that they existed.
that was a problem. Yeah.
Speaking about clothing people, I want to give a shout out to Boomslank.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Why don't you tell the listeners why?
Oh yeah, I should probably do that. They have really good designs.
Mm-hmm.
Not only for their shirts, they have really cool posters and phone cases.
Yeah. I
ended up buying a shirt.
Yeah, I got a shirt and a sketchbook from them. Him?
Yeah, I think it was a guy running it.
Mm-hmm.
This was like the first con that I actually like actively looked at the shirts, because it wasn't just the generic stuff that you see everywhere. It was like, oh, these are like actually really cool. And I didn't wind up buying anything, but there were like a few that I thought were really funny.
I saw some vendors I recognized, like Shark Robot.
Yeah, Shark Robot had like 2 different like booths, didn't it, or something?
They did.
Yeah,
they did.
Like that's excessive.
Yeah. I mean, it's their money, but yeah, it was a little excessive. Thought it was kind of odd.
Mm-hmm.
The same guy from AWA got my money again, though, is the import booth dealer.
Oh, I love that man.
Yeah, he finds all of the great stuff straight from Japan. I bought like 5 things from him, and do not ask me how much that cost me, because I'm ashamed.
I was able to complete my Berserk video game collection because he had a copy of the Japanese-only PS2 game.
Nice.
So that was a big plus for me.
Yeah, I was able to find a Picross game. I'm a really big Picross fan. Like, I play Picross pretty much every day on my phone, because I have like 3 different apps dedicated to it. So if I finish one, I just move on to the other. and it's a SNES import game called Super Picross, and we're actually going to be talking about it on our channel, which is why I got it. But just the fact that I was able to find that in box was like incredible to me. And it didn't even break the bank. Like his prices are pretty much what they're worth. Like he charges a little bit higher than what you could get online because he actually like physically imports them himself, and you know, capitalism and whatnot. But compared to other people I've seen, he actually was not that expensive. Like he was very reasonably priced for all of his stuff. But yeah, other than that, the dealers were all really nice. They had a lot of good stuff. The artists were all also really nice. I love going down Artist Alley. I don't really buy prints anymore because I have way too many. But I always enjoy going down and just looking. And if I see something that's like small or whatnot, I'll get it usually, or I'll just like give the artist like a donation. Like I don't have room for any more prints, but I really like this. Here's $1 or $2, like something like that. But,
I kind of regret not going down the Artist Alley because usually one of the things I look for at the Artist Alley that I know I won't find in the dealer's room are pins for really cheap. A lot of dealers, they have like some back stock or whatnot, and they'll literally sell them for like $1 or $2 if they're just trying to get rid of them.
I actually did not see that much of that, so
Yeah.
you really didn't waste your time if that's what you look for.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm looking for right now.
yeah, there
There are more artists doing like acrylic pins and enamel pins and stuff, though. It's just a lot of it is hard to stock up for cons.
Yeah, and like I know people who make Ita bags, and like the acrylic straps though that they charge, it's just so expensive to me. Like $15 for one strap is just like, dear God, why? But at the same time, I'm sure that's pretty much what it costs. Like it costs them like a fair amount to make them, and then they want to make some money.
Especially
so.
in smaller batches. Like I think that's the main.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but
I always try to support artists whenever I can. But
for sure.
Unfortunately, there wasn't anything I was actively looking for this year.
Every con I buy at least one print because I'm not a huge con boy, but every time I go I'm like, I'll get one more print and soon I'll turn into Ryan, but for now it's okay.
What's one more?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Well, Prince and me, like when I first started going to cons, I was in college and I didn't really have anything for my new dorm room. It was like white walls and it was very bland. So I wanted to get something for it. I had like gone to like Spencer's or whatever, and I was like, I'm kind of past this phase of like I want Spencer's posters on my wall because I'm an adult now. But like I went to Triad, I think, and like just fell in love with Artist Alley, and I bought like 5 prints that like all immediately went on my wall. And then just like anytime I've gone to a con or like free comic book day or something, I'll always find like another print that I really like, and I'll be like, yeah, I'll add this to the collection. And then I moved like last year and I hung all these up and I was like, oh God, I have so many prints. And at this point I pretty much just like, unless I actually find something that just immediately makes me go, oh, you're on my wall, no exceptions. Like I'll pass it up. I'll be like, oh, that looks really cool, but I don't need it.
Yeah, I have like literal like boxes and poster tubes overflowing of prints and posters and things between cons and like just buying AKB48 calendars, and then you have like 12 beautiful posters. Like,
God, that's the dream.
I mean, yeah, that is the nice thing about calendars is you get a lot of cool art with them.
But yeah, I think this year, because I was trying to like not make super huge purchases, I was focusing more on like actually smaller things like charms and mystery box stuff and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because like in a way that's something that you can only really get at cons, because nowadays it's like if you want a strap of a particular character and you go to look for it online, it's either like mega hyped up in price or like you have to buy the entire set with like 12 characters in it and it's $60 for the box, and it's like, but I just want that one. Like,
Yeah. I know Marissa used to do group buys for that. Like
Yeah.
they'd get like either I don't know, like Eilish 7 or Token Rambu or something, buy the entire set.
Yeah.
Each person would like get what they want, then they pay for the box together and it'd be a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Um
But it's so
I do that for
convoluted,
Monster Hunter
like,
figures. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's complicated and there's always a chance that you won't recoup your money.
Right.
Like I did that for Monster Hunter figures. I'm a huge Monster Hunter fan as well. So I'd buy the entire set of blind boxes, open them all up, keep what I want, sell the rest, and I'd normally recoup my money.
Mm-hmm.
And like the nice thing is I also know where to get them wholesale. So I pay like $45 for 6 instead of like 20 for 1.
Yeah.
So I literally will sell them for basically cost just so I could recoup my money. And I do that at flea markets usually, and people are like, could you go lower? And I'm just like, no, I think you and I both know that I'm beating the dealer's room by a long shot, so this is a firm price. And, yeah, I've had pretty good luck with that.
All I have to say is that fandoms can be scary whenever you're committed to buy something.
Oh, yeah,
True.
that's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
That is facts. So we've gone over guests a little bit, but let's go down the list, actually. Sarah, you first. Who of the guests were you most excited to see there?
Probably Monica Rial, because she's always just great to see, even if it's just in a panel. I didn't really do like autographs or anything.
Yeah, autographs are expensive.
Yeah, and then you're just waiting in line forever, and yeah.
That's how we spent Friday.
But then also, PT Parade I was actually looking forward to, because leading up to the con, they actually did like live streams of their practices and stuff, which was
Nice.
really cool. So, which also made seeing the performance like actually come together as a whole thing really exciting.
That is exciting.
Yeah, so mostly those. There was also Thrill Builds was not someone that I knew before Momocon, but after going to her panel on LED stuff, her and her friends who helped her run it, it was really, really cool, and I just like learned so much from it that I'm totally a fan of her now.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And what else? Storm League did a panel on rhythm games that made me start following them too.
Wait, I missed the panel in rhythm games.
I
I
kind of just looked at Edwin and I was just like, did you go to this one?
It was Sunday morning, and I was 10 minutes late because it was Sunday morning.
Oh, that's why you missed
But
it.
they played Da Pump USA, so they win in my book, and it was a really fun panel. It was
Nice.
despite being one with like music blasting and stuff, it was a really good panel for a Sunday morning. It was pretty chill.
That was actually one thing I was very happy about. There were no, like, intrusions on a panel. Like, if I was in a panel, there wasn't, like, the room next door just blasting obnoxious music or something. It was all pretty well soundproofed.
I mean, I think during the Axis Games panel, it was like in the Omni, and it was next to LARP stuff, so you could definitely hear the like foam swords hitting each other in the next room over during the panel. So the Omni maybe not so much, but the actual convention center did have really good soundproofing.
Yeah, I didn't actually go to any of the panels in the Omni, so I can't speak to that one, but that's pretty funny. But Edwin, I think I know what your highlight guest-wise was, but I'm going to let you say it yourself.
I love Suda51 so much. Like he's literally my favorite game developer of all time.
Yeah.
And the fact that I was able to meet him, oh my gosh, I fangirl so hard in front of him. And I got him to sign my copy of Flower, Sun, and Rain, which was, I believe, his second or third game that he developed with Grasshopper Manufacture. Mm-hmm. So when he saw that, he looked at me, he's like, he told his translator, yeah, this brings me back. Like, he was, like, reminiscing whenever he was looking at that game.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I made his day.
That was the thing.
He made my day more.
Yeah. That was the thing I noticed about him, is, like, you can tell his passion because anything that somebody seemed to bring him, he seemed to remember. Like,
Yeah.
I mentioned that I reviewed his Samurai Champloo game on our YouTube channel, and he looked at me, he's like, wow, that's incredible. Like, I remember working on that one. And I was just like, that's kind of ridiculous. Like, I did not expect, like, I expected to be the weirdo who brought that game up. And, like, apparently there were other people who like also liked that game too. So yeah, he was really cool to meet. Was there anybody else that you liked meeting?
Well, I didn't come to the convention to meet them, but I was hanging out with a couple of friends, and we went to a panel that had Family Jewels and Audrey Soros.
Yeah.
A couple of YouTubers, and they were really good.
Yeah.
Watching them perform.
Yeah, I was there for them. Like, I really wanted to meet them, and I did, and they were really cool people, but they're incredible. Like, they're musical YouTubers, for reference, by the way, and they just do incredible work. So, Will, what about you? I know one of the people that you wanted to meet was also Suda, but who else did you meet that you loved meeting?
I didn't get to really meet him, but I did get to go to the Pro ZD panel.
Mm-hmm.
I like his stuff. He's a funny boy. So being able to see him, I was like, oh, he's neat. And the panel was like, the panel was very Q&A, which is great because like I just like, seeing a YouTube person I've been following for years like in person. So that was like super cool.
I mean, that's kind of him also, is he just like, he's very quippy. So like he'll do like short things.
It was definitely like a very fun panel just to kind of chill for a bit from all the running around at the con. So that was fun. I was also going to mention the YouTube concert because I didn't know any of them, honestly. Like I've heard of them, never really listened to them before. And I was really blown away because I had a good time at the concert. It was fun.
Yeah. You also had one other interaction that I think is worth mentioning that I'm going to make you talk about. Who did you run into in the elevator?
Oh, you're talking about going back to the Pro ZD?
No, Hungry Box. That was me.
Oh, Hungry Box. Oh, we were in the elevator at, it was like the first night, and it's going down, and the elevator stops, and this is like a crowded con elevator, and we're like, I guess we could have room for one more. Elevator doors open, and out comes in Hungry Box. For those who don't know, Hungry Box is one of the greatest Smash Bros. Melee players. He plays Jigglypuff. So the elevator doors open, and I just lock eyes with him, and like he knows, because I've met Hungry Box before, but like he knows that like he probably doesn't remember me, but he knows that I recognize him. And he's like, oh boy, and he like gets into the elevator.
Here we go again.
I just wanted
the
to ride
elevators
the elevator.
close. The doors close, and I'm there with a couple friends of mine, and my one friend, he does not like Smash at all, especially Melee, and he just looks at his other friend, he's like, man, I hate Melee. And they just start talking about how much they hate the game, and he's just standing there, and I'm between my friends and HBox, so I'm like, oh man. And then the elevator doors open, he goes out, and I'm like, have a good night, Mr. Box, and he's like, uh-huh. It was...
I thought that was
great.
a funny story.
Shout out to HBox.
Yeah, for me, I actually had like a lot of interactions with guests this time that I didn't even intend to have necessarily. Like, I met all the people that I got autographs from and talked to them. They were great. Like Johnny Cruz was the highlight for me, and Suda51 was also great. But like the YouTubers that I ran into, Marissa and I were standing in the hotel lobby. I think we were waiting for like Edwin or something to like get the rest of our stuff so we could go up to the hotel and drop it off. And we're just sitting there on our phones. I look up and I just like see Pro ZD standing there like on his phone, and I'm just like, oh, that's Pro ZD. And so I just like go tap him on the shoulder. I was like, hey, I don't want to bother you, but I'm a big fan. I just wanted to know if I could take a picture. He's like, yeah, sure. And so very matter-of-fact guy, like get a picture with him. He goes on his merry way. Yeah. I run into him in the elevator later, and I just like start talking to him. And he like wished me luck on our YouTube channel, and I was just like, you're probably just saying that to be polite, but thank you.
Oh, speaking about YouTubers, I forgot to mention that I really enjoyed Giguk's panel.
Yeah, Giguk was there too. Any highlights about that?
It was a fun panel. Good way to rest my feet.
Okay. Yeah, Giguk's always funny. But yeah, so I met him. The best interaction for me, though, had to be when I met a YouTuber who I have followed for like 7 years, or I don't even know if he's been on YouTube for 7 years. My perception of time is shit. But I followed him for a really long time, like since roughly around when he got started. So the guy's Insane in the Rain. And during the YouTubers concert, he comes out and does a piece with Audrey Soros. And I lost my mind. Like, I went straight up fanboy mode and just like was just like so excited to actually get to meet, like to see him and see him perform. And he was not actually an official guest, which I thought was weird, but like he was there for some like charity stream they were doing. He was doing like set pieces in between streams, like during breaks and whatnot. So I got to see him perform a couple times actually. And we were getting food one night, and we went across to the CNN Center, and I had gotten my food. I was waiting for Marissa. She had gotten like Moe's or something. And so I am just like standing off to the side, don't want to clog up the line. And I look up, and he's just kind of standing there looking at the menu. And I immediately just put down my stuff, and I'm just like, I'm like a huge fan of yours. Can I please get a picture? And so like he takes a picture with me. I'm losing it. Like I'm keeping it together, but internally I'm losing it. And so I tell him, I was like, yeah, I've been following you since basically the beginning. Like, I really like the fact that there's somebody else out there who's a sax player who loves to play video game music. And he's like, oh, you're a sax player? And I was like, yeah, for like a long time. So we start talking about saxophone for like 10 minutes while Marissa's getting food. And like, I just walk away, and I'm just like, that's it. We can go home now. Con's over. Like, I'm good.
That's the peak. We're good here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was the best guest interaction I had, and he wasn't even a guest, because I just got to meet him, and he was such a nice guy, and, like, it was incredible. But, yeah. So, the other big thing about this con was the size of the game room. Like, there was so much stuff going on in this game room. Like, we had Tokyo Attack, who did the arcade. We had an entire board game area with enough room to fit, like, a lot of people. There was a stage for, like, special presentations. There were console setups. There was a speedrunning area. It was massive. And I know Edwin spent a lot more time in there than I did, so...
Yeah, I was in the game room because I'm a big fan of rhythm games, so I definitely spent a good portion of my time playing everything from DDR to Taiko to Chuni Rhythm, Jubi, Sound Voltex, pretty much everything that they had. Not only that, I was playing Super Smash Bros. Melee for their tournament, so I was in that for a good while as well. Let's see what else I did in the game room.
You played DDR with me.
Yeah, I did play DDR with you.
That was a good highlight of, I think, Friday night. We
That
did
was
that.
Friday night.
Yeah, that was Friday night.
was like-
that was a lot of fun.
1 a.m., so there was no lines at the DDR machines.
And
That
then I
was
beat
perfect.
you.
Yeah, right. You wish.
Yeah.
Not only that, I also played a little bit of the arcade machines that they had, like the retro ones, so that was pretty fun. Unfortunately, I usually like to go to the retro games section, but like I had mentioned earlier, there was just so much to do this weekend that I couldn't get to do everything I wanted this weekend.
Yeah, I didn't even touch the arcade setups. I did only like rhythm games, and I played a couple board games.
See,
And-
that's another thing I like to do. I love playing board games with people at conventions, but it's just too much to
No,
do.
there was so much to do, and like it was very intimidating. Like I walked, like I said, like when we walked in, I was just like, I don't know where to start, so I'm just gonna start making laps until I can actually get myself like accustomed to this. But yeah, there was just so much that went on that was just incredible, and it was such a fun con. Like the game room was incredible. Playing DDR at like 2 a.m. was really fun, and like Marissa and I had actually just finished playing a board game. We had played what was it called? Dinogenics. We had just played Dinogenics, which is basically build your own Jurassic Park.
That
The
sounds
board
fun.
game. It was fun. It was very fun, and it was like 12:30 when we finish. So we're like, all right, let's go upstairs and bring this back because she had bought it, and we run into Will and Edwin on the way up, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna go play DDR because we haven't had a chance to do that yet. So we're like, okay, we'll see you later. And then we both realized we're like, we're not tired. It's 12:30
in the morning.
and it's 12:30 in the morning, and we're not tired. So we joined them for DDR, and then we were tired. But like, just the fact that like it was that late and we weren't tired at all, just to me indicated how much fun we were having, because it was so there was so much to do. And like we were busy for every minute, but it wasn't exhausting because it was so like high energy. Everybody made it fun that it kept us going, and it was great. So now we come to what I love about convention talk the most. Does anybody have any juicy stories to tell? Anything that went on this weekend, or just a good story that you want to tell?
I have a minor story.
All right.
So not about me, preface, but one of my buddies who was there, the one who doesn't like Smash Bros. Melee, give it up for Jeff. He actually won the Star Fox 64 tournament. So he entered that, and he was practicing on his 3DS for a little bit, and he won first place, and they gave him a medal that says, like, you know, Momocon 2019 first place Star Fox 64. So I didn't get to watch him do it, unfortunately. I think our panel was during that, or it was like something else was going on.
No, that was our panel was 11:30 at night. He did that in the morning, but I remember he was like in the room practicing because he thought it was like a high score thing for the game, and it turns out it was a multiplayer thing. So he was practicing for the wrong thing, and he still won.
To be fair, his competition, what he said, wasn't that tough.
Yeah.
So that was just cool that they actually gave him like an actual medal. I thought that was really neat. I didn't get to go or see any of the competitions or anything. I know they had a Zeldathon going on as well. I really wanted to watch, but again, the theme of so much to do at the con, I didn't get to dedicate myself to like watch any of it, sadly.
Yeah, that was the unfortunate thing for some things, but I didn't watch any of the tournaments myself, but like I heard that they were a lot of fun, and I did watch a couple of the performances in between the Zeldathon, which was the speedrunning thing for charity that they were doing. And I was going to be in a Duck Hunt Akimbo tournament, but it was starting right when we were trying to check out of the room, so I was like, I literally can't.
Oh, man.
But it was just, there was so much to do for everybody, and like anybody that we ran into didn't have like a bad experience to talk about. Like, well, actually I had one. Like, they stiffed us for an autograph for Keith Silverstein, who is the voice actor of Torbjorn, among like a lot of other things, due to very poorly planned out logistics. But other than that, that was like the only blemish on this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some stories I have. I have a lot, but I don't know which ones I'm able to say on this podcast.
I have a wholesome one if you need
Most
to
of
think.
Edwin's stories involve alcohol.
My drunken escapades. It was
Yeah.
so much fun. Like, just drinking with like strangers was so much fun at like a new con environment.
The DJs at the rave on Saturday were all so good. I'm such a fan of DJ Joe.
Yeah. One of
Oh yeah, I went to the rave. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
One of my friends from Raleigh, I met up with him on Wednesday after we got back, and he shakes me and he's like, "Do you have any idea how lucky you were to get the DJs that you got? All of those DJs are my favorite DJs." And I was like, "Well, you should have come to Momo."
Yeah.
Actually, at a funny story at the rave, I went there and I was having a lot of fun, and my friend's like, "Woo! The Momocon rave is awesome." And then he's like, "Wait a minute, did someone just throw their phone?"
Oh my god. Two turn.
To turn. And then there were like people crowd surfing. I've never seen people crowd surf at an anime con.
Yeah,
Most of the time because they're not allowed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cops really didn't care.
The main
No.
stage area was really, really big, so I mean,
Yeah. It was really big, and I don't think they really had too much security, like, actually...
control.
No, there was security doing their job.
Okay.
The bag line was so long, though. I was like, oh no, is this the line to get in? But no, it was just the line of people waiting to pick up their bag and leave.
But I'd rather
no.
them do
It
that.
was crazy.
Yeah, I remember actually, if you had the app, I got a push notification at like 11:30 or something that said the bag check for the rave is full, and I'm just like, that didn't take long.
No,
Yeah, I remember
there was
that.
a line just to do the bag check.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Do you,
Anybody else?
do you need to think? Okay.
Yeah, I
So
need
I
to
have
think.
a really wholesome story about a Stefani cosplayer, like from Steven Universe, who was so sweet. She was literally the first person who complimented me on my shirt on Thursday.
Nice.
As I was leaving the hotel, because I just kind of like dropped my bags off and left. And then as I was walking back to the hotel later at night to meet up with my friends, because they didn't get in until later, like 3 blocks away, she was like, "Hey, you're the girl whose shirt I complimented. Are you going back to the hotel? Let's walk together, because it's late at night, and we're both, like, small women. And it's Atlanta, so let's go. And she just, like, was so nice. I was waiting on my friends in order to, like, fully check in and everything, so she, like, brought me drinks and snacks from her room, and I was like, who are you? Why are we best friends now? Like, and it was really funny. And her name was Sarah, too, so thank you so much, Sarah. Oh my god.
Oh, perfect.
But
that's easy to remember.
Yeah, super easy. But that was, like, first day of the con, making friends. It was so good.
Yeah, it sounds about right. That sums up my Momocon.
Yeah, mine too, pretty much.
Yep.
We actually, one of the coolest things, well, we were waiting in the line for, I think it was Suda 51. We got talking to another panel group from Florida and just started exchanging, like, con stories and, like, you know, various stuff. Like, we just compared panels and we're like, yeah, we do this type of stuff. We, like, have a podcast. They showed us their master panelist. I tried to reciprocate, but the internet was not having it.
Aww.
But it was super cool to actually run into, like, another panel group and just talk to them about panels. Because we never really have that with anybody else. Like, we normally talk about, like, you know, anime or whatnot with other people. We never just talk straight up panels. So that was really interesting, and that was a pretty cool thing.
Should I tell one of my drunken escapade stories?
Keep it PG, or PG-13.
Don't do it.
Yeah, it pretty much just involves me going on the elevator at 3 in the morning after being done with the arcade, and I'm going up the elevator, and there's this other dude who has this big bottle of tequila, and he's like, man, I wish my roommates and I finished it. And I'm like, dude, you want to give me a shot then?
I can help you with this problem, sir.
Yeah, that's what I pretty much told him. So I missed my stop because his is above mine.
Oh my god.
Take the shot, miss the button for my room.
Oh my god.
My floor, go down one floor below. And then I see two dudes that are, like, literally just chilling there drinking, like, Reds or something.
Oh my god.
And then I'm like, hey, you got another one? He's like, are you 21? I'm like, yeah. And we were just comparing Momocon and, like, AWA for, like, 20 minutes. It was really fun talking with them.
I will say the drunken idiots were less idiotic at Momo than other cons I've been to. Like,
oh my gosh, it was drunken idiots.
Drunken idiots were, like, next level. But, like, there weren't any people who were, like, causing scenes. They were just kind of keeping it to themselves.
My hypothesis is that Momo is more family friendly.
Yeah.
And whereas AWA is more anime centric, so it's gonna attract the older crowd.
Yeah, it's just weird because I had heard people tell me, they were like, yeah, Momo's a big party con, and I'm like, really? Didn't really seem that way. Like, yeah, there were people drinking, but it wasn't like, you didn't see drunk people everywhere, which is what I was kind of expecting.
Yeah, I didn't stay in the, like, hotels attached to the con or anything. So, I mean, I feel like there is where you end up meeting more of the drunk people, because at that point they're, like, back
for sure.
home.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Well, yeah, but we did, and we, like, still didn't. Not that much.
It still just, like, wasn't, like, sloppy drunk. It was, like...
Sir.
Yeah. There were drunk people, but they weren't, like... They weren't yelling or causing a scene or being obnoxious.
Yeah, that's good.
And I didn't see anybody get arrested for the first time.
Hey.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Oh,
Yeah.
never mind.
Okay, never mind.
Scratch that.
Bummer.
Day one.
Oh, God.
Oh,
I actually did see an ambulance day one, and I'm just like, well, we're off to a great start.
Here we are.
But
Here we go again.
Probably from heat stroke.
honestly, maybe. Like, it
got
was very
really hot.
It was so hot.
Thanks, Atlanta.
But yeah, aside from that, like, what was everyone's overall thoughts? Like, Edwin, I'll start with you. What was your overall thoughts of the con, and do you think you'll be returning next year?
My overall thoughts is 10 out of 10 would come again.
Very succinct. All right, Sarah, what about you?
It's a little bit further from me. I live, like, in the DC area, so it might be more of a every other year kind of con, but if I can, like, scrape
Gotcha.
up the funds for travel, then yeah, maybe I'd go back next year. There's just such a variety of stuff to do, and so many things that I wanted to do that I didn't get to do that, like, oh, well, maybe something similar will be happening next year, that I would definitely go back, for sure.
All right. Will, what about you?
I would absolutely go back. It was definitely the biggest con I've ever been to, and even though I was a bit overwhelmed at first, I had a real good time. Lots of friends, lots of good variety. The travel is also something that kind of feels like it would limit me, but I feel like it's worth it in the end to go to because it was such a good con experience.
It was, for sure.
I mean, I was gonna say you get used to going to further cons the more often you attend them.
Right.
For me, also, like, travel is not a big issue in that regard because I have family in Atlanta.
Oh.
So we drove down the day before and stayed at my parents' house, rent free. So it was basically a free hotel, and so that made the trip down a lot easier. And I'm just so used to driving that 6-hour drive at this point. So, like, for me, it's nothing. Like, it's a trip to Atlanta, and I know how to do those trips because I do them so frequently that, like, it was just like, oh, I'm going for Momo this time instead of going to visit my nephews. So I'm definitely planning on going again next year, barring some catastrophe with work or something. But yeah, I had probably the best time at this con that I've ever had at any other con before, period. Like, it was just such an enjoyable experience. And there was literally a facet of every part of nerd culture there that you just don't really see anywhere else. Like, there were comic book artists, which I'm a huge comic book reader. There were a ton of cosplayers, like a ton, and they were all really good. Like, that General Grievous we saw, oh my god. Like, I'm gonna have Austin put a link of the picture I got of that guy in the description because, dear god, that was incredible. And, you know, we also had, obviously, anime voice actors, we had game voice actors, we had game developers. Like, it was just incredible. And it's definitely an experience I would 100% pay for again. So does anybody else have any other closing thoughts on the con?
Definitely recommend Momo. It was very good. Even though it was really hot in Atlanta, I still think it's definitely is worth the trip to go.
Well, it was hot in Atlanta, but we were inside like 90% of the time.
I had like
But
a
if you
15-minute walk
through-
from my hotel and it did not kill me, so.
Okay.
But then again,
so
I'm kind of a
I'm
city
weak.
girl now, but still.
Gotcha.
If you had to go through the middle of like the chalk zone, that was the worst because like there was a day where I was there waiting for somebody and I was already dying because I'm very weak.
I actually have a really funny story that indirectly is about you and the chalk zone. So we were going for food and I see Jeff sitting on the steps, like just somewhere. And I see a guy who has glasses and moderately curly hair. And from the side, I could see like a goatee. So I was like, oh, Jeff and Will are hanging out. So being a joker, I go and flick the other guy on the back of the head thinking it's you.
Oh no!
And it was not you. So this guy turns around and he's just like, can I help you? And I immediately was like, I am so sorry. I thought you were one of our friends because I saw Jeff and I know this guy. Like, I do know this guy.
Well, you made an enemy.
He laughed. He thought it was funny, but I was just like, I am so sorry. I thought you were somebody else. Please don't hate me. And he was just like, it's fine. But that was,
He's holding a grudge right now.
Jeff just looks at me and he's just like, you're an idiot. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But that was funny. But, yeah, it really wasn't that hot, but I definitely think that it's a con worth going to, especially if you can afford to like split a hotel room with like 5 or 6 people. It really wasn't that expensive. I think it only ran us like a little over $100 for the entire weekend. And then if you panel, like they have the best badge reimbursement policy of any con ever. You do one panel and you get a badge, which is ridiculous. And I'm thankful for that because it got almost all of us in for free.
I want to say that Momocon is definitely a con that you should try to at least go once.
Yeah, definitely go once.
Yeah.
Like, I understand it's a very expensive trip and, you know, the badge, if you're paying for it, it's like, I think it was like 80.
It's 70.
It was
70,
70, yeah. Well, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'll probably go up a little bit this year because it always
Probably.
goes up. Yeah, probably gonna pay like 75 at the door, but for what you got, 4 days like packed full of stuff, worth it.
Yeah.
Not only that, we haven't brought up that Momocon is going to be doubling its floor size next year.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
Whoa.
next year they're moving from Hall A to Hall B, which they're gonna have so much more
Oh my
space to do
God.
stuff. So
Ooh.
Maybe I'll go next year then. Oh my god. Yeah.
yeah, they didn't even use all the space this year. Or at least, actually, they kind of did because they gave everybody enough room to walk, which I'm very grateful for. By the way, like I said, 30,000 people there didn't even notice it, and like I never felt cramped or claustrophobic. Like normally at other cons, I'm like doing the little dance where you put one arm up so you're not like completely bumping into everybody.
Right.
And,
hold your
like,
bag in
yeah.
front of you as you
Yeah,
walk.
hold your bag. Yeah.
Bulldozing through everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that. It was I could walk where I needed to walk. Maybe I waited in a line, but it wasn't that bad.
Mhm.
And
So-
yeah.
Just the fact that they're going to be doubling means there are going to be so much more events to do, so many more game tournaments, so many more arcade machines, so many more panels. There's just going to be more of what makes Momocon great.
Yeah. I'm very excited to see what comes next year. But if nobody else has any other closing thoughts, where can I find all of you on social media? Sarah, what about you?
Number one place for any sort of anime or idol ramblings is probably Twitter at UniqueXHarmony. Fair warning, there's a lot of idol things. Get ready.
All right. You working on any personal projects or anything that people might find in the internet?
Not really. Just kind of doing a couple fun things here and there. And a podcast once every 6 months with you guys.
Yeah. All right. Will, what about you?
You can also find me on Twitter at SwooshXBear for any sort of anime as well as gaming and retro gaming talk. Sometimes cats, good mix.
Yeah. And Edwin?
You can follow me, if you like mecha anime, you can follow me at Elon Musk.
Yeah. Follow Elon Musk and then tweet at him, I liked your panel at Momocon, and see what happens. But, yeah. So you can find me at, I'm going to actually have to remind myself what my Twitter handle is. It's at MidshelfRyan. I have been tweeting a lot more lately because Facebook is pretty much a dead zone to me at this point. I also occasionally am on the retro gaming Reddit. You'll find me there as Bowie Sensei. And also you can find Will, Edwin, and myself on YouTube at Midshelf Gaming. We're the one that has more subscribers than the other one, and we have a blue controller as our icon, so be on the lookout for that. We just put out an episode on anime games, and we're working on our puzzle games episode right now, so we think we're pretty good at things, but, you tell us. And in addition to that, you can find all of us on Facebook at Third Impact Anime, on Twitter at the same thing. You could also find our website, thirdimpactanime.com. Our Twitter handle is actually TI Anime. I'm being corrected on that. Thank you, Edwin. We also recently started a Ko-fi, which is basically you can give us a tip.
A coffee?
You buy us a coffee.
Wait,
it's like,
is it pronounced Kofi?
I'm reading it phonetically
Okay,
right now, and
sorry.
I'm brain dead. I think it's.
I was like,
coffee,
have I been
but-
saying it wrong my entire life?
Yeah, I mean it's Kofi,
Yeah.
so I'm like seeing like Kofi, but like
I
yeah,
thought
it's
it was
probably
Ko-fi.
Coffee. I thought it was coffee or green tea.
Get us some coffee. All right.
Yeah, but
Continue.
yeah, and we also we also opened up a Patreon. We don't really have any tiers set up right now, but that's just at the goodness of your heart. If you feel like giving us a few bucks so we can continue to do what we do, it'll help us out a bit because we have annual costs for the podcast and everything.
It also helps
But,
sponsor giveaways and stuff too.
Yes, it also helps sponsors giveaways. Thank you for reminding me, Sarah. We have a giveaway currently going on. If you go on our Facebook thing, and by the way, all of these links will be down in the description, so just go look there, because it's too much words for me to say, and then you'll have to write it down, and it's just a
Yeah,
whole
it's
mess.
a
Just
lot.
go on our Facebook page below. So we have a giveaway going on with our friends at Lost Ark Video Games over in Greensboro. They're giving away, they gave us a bunch of figures to give to you guys, and included in that is a Fate Grand Order Saber figure, a Goku figure, and Ash and James from Pokemon, except they actually use their proper names. I know Ash is Satoshi, but I'm blanking on James right now. But yeah, they gave us those figures to give to you guys, so here's how you enter that real fast. You have to write a 2-sentence review of what you think about our podcasts or panels, submit it to us on Facebook recommendations or tagging us on Twitter, Instagram, sending the review via email at thirdimpactanime@gmail.com. And this is optional, but we would appreciate it, is share the post on Facebook or Twitter so you can spread the word about this giveaway. And we'll be choosing 4 winners at random who qualify. And you must be willing to share your shipping address with us so we can ship you the figures. It's going to be on a first-come, first-served basis on choosing prizes. And just disclaimer, family or significant others of Third Impact or Lost Ark are not eligible. And if you're under 18 and you listen to us, which I don't know if we have many of those, but you'll just need a parent or guardian. But yeah, those figures are going to be like 100% free for you. All you have to do is tell us what we're doing well or what we're doing wrong. So yeah, just hop on our Facebook page, check out that post, and you can be entered to win some pretty cool stuff. But with that, I think we're going to end it here. So I want to thank everybody for coming on with me to talk about Momocon 2019. It was an absolute great time, and I know for certain I will be back. But thank you so much for listening to another episode of Third Impact Anime Podcast. And be sure to check out the Animazement one as well, which will probably be releasing around the same time as this one, to hear what the other half of our group of degenerates spent their Memorial Day weekend doing. Alright, thanks everybody. Have a good night.